Welcome to Zero Credibility Sports. It's the summertime in London. Why did I say that? I don't know. Okay, anyways, it's the end of the football season. Champions League finished about a week ago. Let's start with that. I'm with Justin. Let's go. Let's dig in. So Liverpool came up on top. I don't think to anyone's surprise. It was quite a boring game.
Yeah, I think everyone thought it was a boring game. I think even Liverpool fans thought it was a boring game. I think.
Yeah, I didn't hear any Liverpool fans calling it they were boring. They just said they were very average. They're actually poor in the game. I thought Tottenham played better, but Liverpool. I think the first.
Well, you thought Tottenham played better?
Yeah, I think Tottenham.
Tottenham didn't even play. What are you talking about?
I think
they didn't show up at all.
Yeah, in my opinion, I felt both teams were effectively none of them were really that dangerous, right? Tottenham, I'm pretty sure they made more chances, but Liverpool chances were much more dangerous. For example, James Milner just flashing just wide and so on. Like Tottenham didn't really, like you said, if you look at the chances, if you watch the highlights right now, it would feel like they didn't show up because they didn't really have much dangerous chances at all.
I watched the whole game.
I watched the whole game as well.
It wasn't even a game. Tottenham made I think there was Son had one chance, and then the rest was half chances at best.
Yes,
and
half chances. Half chances at best.
Yeah, but half chances doesn't mean you played a good game. It means you played a bad game.
Exactly.
And the fact that you said that Liverpool played badly for Tottenham to not even have a real chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Tottenham played terrible.
Tottenham kept.
In fact, the narrative going around, I think, after the game, and the days that followed it, was that Liverpool didn't win the Champions League. Tottenham lost it.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how you can say Tottenham played better.
From my perspective, the way I looked at it is because if you watch the game, Tottenham controlled most of the possession. I think it was 65% possession, but they didn't do anything dangerous with the ball. And coupled with that, Liverpool played. They were really poor. There weren't really any dangerous players, right? Except for that Milner's chance and that penalty at the start. There wasn't really. Actually, even the penalty at the start, if it wasn't for that penalty, I don't think there would be any goals in that game during normal time, right? So,
aside from the fact that Origi scored during normal time.
Yeah, well, but because Tottenham were getting desperate, right? Tottenham were pushing their fullbacks all the way up front. So, I think this game results boils down to that first decision, and I think the basic question would be: was it a penalty?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen it. It's one of those where basically it was as a handball, right? And it went to VAR.
Yeah.
I've seen angles where it appeared to me that it hit Sissoko's chest first before it hit his upper arm.
Yep.
But other angles sort of show it hits his upper arm anyway. But in all honesty, I think that I don't know. I don't think I'm alone in saying I'm confused at the and I think we touched on this before, the handball rules in the Champions League, especially. There used to be the thing about intentional and unintentional handball, and all that. But now it seems, especially this season, what we've seen at least three contentious ones. One is Kimpembe, PSG Kimpembe. The other one was Man City Spurs, disallowed goal.
Yeah, and the World
Cup. Sure, but I'm talking about the Champions League this season.
Yeah, Champions League. Yeah.
Because, it's been ref differently in the Champions League this season.
Yeah.
And then there's one other one I can't remember exactly what, but I remember at the time watching it, I was a bit is that really a handball? Yeah. So I think this idea of unintentional handball for whatever reason doesn't exist. or is not being considered, especially with it's probably something to do with the fact that they go into VAR for these decisions now. But I don't know. I just feel I feel there has to be leeway for unintentional handball. Like, yeah, like the Kimpembe one sticks out because I think a lot of people would not agree that was handball.
Yeah, because
like, it did touch his head.
Was towards the ball. You mean?
Yeah, there's no doubt it touched his hand. But when you're sliding in like that, like you don't really have control of your arm, right?
Yeah, and no, to be fair, his hand wasn't extended out, like it wasn't like waving out, you know. It was close to. It was like his elbows was touching his like body, you know. It was touching his torso.
I mean, it was a natural position, right? Like it doesn't seem like he's like, okay, the ball is coming here. I'm gonna move my arm in this direction to block the ball, right? It just seemed like a natural, you know, movement. And the same thing with the disallowed goal, the Man City disallowed goal as well. And this one as well is just I feel like if it hits his chest and it hits his arm, I feel that, you know, it didn't look like he purposely chested onto his arm. And if it hit his arm anyway, I feel like he was so close to the ball. And like, you know, in your upper arm, like really you can't move your upper arm. Like if you want to move your upper arm out of the way, you have to move essentially your shoulders. Right? Yeah. So I don't know, man. They got to do something about this rule, man.
They actually, after the Kimpembe incident, they changed the rules. Like when you brought up natural and unnatural body position, that was implemented right after that Kimpembe decision, stating that like they tried to basically give a better description to referees on like the rules to work with. Because before that,
there's no way that they changed the rules. Like
no, they changed it. They changed the like prescription. I sent you an article before about like how like they did some slight alterations to the rules in terms of like what is what constitutes a handball or what doesn't constitute a handball. Maybe it's not changed.
If they clarify the rule or clarify the wording or something, then that's fine. There's no way they change the rule.
But isn't that a modification of the rule? Not modification of the rule, but surely that's a modification of the criteria of the rule. So I think I don't know. I think that's more accurate.
So it depends how it depends.
So they did.
So for example, right? So for example, like, let's say like you join a competition, right? Yeah. And before the in any sort of, you know, proper competition, so here's the rule book, right? Yeah. Let's say you join a futsal competition, Peter, and they say here's the rule book, right? And the rule book says that, all right, you got to show up and register half an hour before your game starts, right? And then, you know, it's all good, everything goes fine, and then in like the quarterfinals, right? Yeah. Some other team rocks up 20 minutes before and signs up, right? And then you said, and then you protest, and you say, no, that's not right. The rule said 30 minutes. Right, and then oh, but it's fine. Let's play anyway. You know that fine, whatever. Don't worry. Let's just play, right? Like they're not in the next round of games. Like any tournament organizer or any competition referee or whatever of any sort of credibility is not going to be like, all right, guys, we're going to change the rules now. Instead of 30 minutes, now it's 20 minutes when you're halfway through the tournament, right? There's no way. There's no way. And this is the Champions League. There's no way that they've gone to the rule book and changed the rules. There's just no way.
Okay, yeah, okay. They didn't change the rules, but they changed the criteria of what is and what isn't handball.
If the rule book says, you know, your hand must be in a natural position, right? And that's always prescribed, and they've gone on and they've sort of tried to clarify the wording around it or something like that. That's different from
that's what they did. I think that's what they did.
Different from saying they've changed the rules. Like I'm.
No, I understand.
I highly doubt they changed the rules.
They prescribe what a handball is to give a better description. I think that's why I said in the second time to be a bit more accurate. So they basically they added that like if you're they added the, you know, what a natural position and an unnatural position is. So for example, when you're jumping, your arms might be elevated up to a certain level, but not above your shoulders. for example. So,
but then the game, the Man City game, where the goal was disallowed, the winner, quote unquote, the winner, which was disallowed, that was natural position as well.
Well, maybe the referee didn't the referee who saw
it went
game,
to VAR.
Yeah, but maybe for that referee who saw the game, maybe he just poor judgment. But that was the rule change, not the rule change. Okay, I don't want to say that was what was prescribed, and that was what all the articles, what all the football writers were talking about. So for in the future, for the Kimpembe one wouldn't be a penalty because it's a natural position. So like you said, you see, it's been very confusing.
There was another penalty as well, though, after the Kimpembe one. I think it could have been in the Ajax. Was there a penalty in Ajax Juventus?
Yes, Ronaldo. No, wait. Ronaldo. No. Ajax Juventus.
It was super similar. It was essentially the same. It was essentially the same penalty as a Kimpembe. I remember this. It was essentially the same penalty, and it was given. And the argument at the time was, well, if they give the Kimpembe one, they have to give this one. And I agree with that because you know what? At the very least, it's consistent.
There was no penalty in the Real Madrid Ajax game. Maybe it was in the semi-finals, but I don't know.
But I asked if there was penalty in Ajax Juventus.
There was Ajax Juventus.
Because I remember very clearly, after this Kimpembe, I thought, okay, lucky, didn't deserve that penalty. But then there was a penalty after that was given, a very similar case where the guy is trying to slide to block the ball, and it hit his arm, and the ref gives a penalty, and they gave it, and I was like, you know what, I don't agree with that penalty, but if they gave the PSG one, they have to give this one. So okay.
Well, yeah.
But whatever the case, I think we can both. One thing we can both agree on is that the rule kind of sucks.
The rule now, okay. Basically, let's get to the Musa Sissoko one. So, according to the rules currently, if the ball was to hit Musa Sissoko's hands, that would be a penalty because I think that's an unnatural position because his hands were raised above his shoulders. You know what I mean? Yes and no, because okay, for me, the thing is it would be very hard to write in words what an ideal penalty rule is, right? Handball rule is, right? Because this is one of those things where you're really judging intent more than I think we can all agree that we don't want to see goals being people defenders blocking goals with their arms and hands on purpose. Yes. Right? Yeah.
But I think there also needs to be a degree of how do we judge purpose, right? Like you say, okay, his arms are not a natural position. I can say, you know what? Maybe for him that is a natural position for his arms. Because
biomechanics.
Look at, for example, right? Look at Raheem Sterling, right? Look at the way he runs. Right. If people say that, look, okay, the way he runs is not natural, right? Because he looks different compared to the way other people run, right? He looks like a little tiny T-Rex, right? But the thing is, that's natural for him. So, you know what I mean? It's a very
tough. No, this is one of those tough gray areas. It's hard to make it black and white.
But the thing is, I would think with VAR that they would be better at judging this. But it just seems to create more confusion.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, it does. You know how sometimes, if you watch a video in slow-mo, it might look more deliberate than it is as well?
I agree with that. But I also think when you watch it in slow-mo, you have the time as well to consider. And you have the time to look, and you have the time to... for me, it should be a net gain because in the World Cup, because the World Cup, aside from the Champions League, the World Cup is the biggest competition in which VAR has been used. I thought, in general, the World Cup was VAR was done very well, and I don't remember any specifically handball penalty decisions where it was like, oh, this is like a ridiculous decision. Because the way that it was ref in the World Cup was different.
Yeah.
The way that VAR was used and the criteria they used to determine is different. So I don't know, just for whatever reason, Champions League is this handball thing, which I don't agree with, because I think there has to be sort of perspective given towards, natural position, you're right, natural position, but also like, the ball to hand and hand to ball argument.
But like, if you just breaking down that Musa Sissoko, like, I mean, the intention. I mean, if from watching it, I've seen it a few times, because for the 3 days over, I kept showing Anderson, was this a fucking penalty? I kept asking him, and even he agrees it's not, because he thinks it's. We both agreed that what Sissoko was trying to do was basically point to a defender to tell him to cover for him, but then and it even seems like that Mane was intentionally kicking the ball towards his hand. You know what I mean? You know, if it was like the rule during the start of the Champions League, which was like anytime, like I remember listening to a match commentator who was saying, if a ball comes into contact with a player's arm extended away from his body, like, if it's lifted above a specific like height or something, it's a penalty. So how does that stop a player from just deliberately kicking the ball to an opponent's hand? You know?
Yeah, you're right. And I think that was the reason that the idea of ball to hand came about in the first place. Like many years ago, when they're refining the rule, right? That's the idea, because they don't want it to be a situation like you said, where like the attacking player, okay, all I want to do is I can get a box and I will kick it into someone's hand, because you can definitely see attacking players like Luis Suarez do some shit like that. Yeah,
like according to the rules, I'm reading up the rules now. This is according to the rule of law. It says the movement, like these are the three considerations a referee must take before ruling a handball. The movement of the hand towards the ball must not be toward, the movement of the hand towards the ball. That's one consideration. 2, the distance between the opponent and the ball, in case it's an unexpected ball. And the position of the hand does not necessarily mean that there is an offense. So this is a testament to your point, saying that, even though it's above his like so-called natural stance or natural position, that doesn't mean straight away it's a handball, right? So I think that's and like this, like when you brought up the word intention, at first before I read the rule, I was like, I don't think some people have the pushback to intention is it's still unfair, right? If a player can still clumsily break the rule, if you know what I mean, like clumsily break the rule. Like, why if the guy?
You're right. Yeah, so it's someone who's very like uncool or whatever.
Some fucking jumping jacks on the field. He didn't mean to hit the ball, but like it's still not. That's not part of the game, right? You're not supposed to block with your flailing arms, right?
Yeah, but I think it's also like, I mean, I think you raise a good point in the sense that I think intention should play a part, but it shouldn't be necessarily, all right, this is the only criteria, or this is the number one criteria, because very, very few handballs in a box are, fully intentional, right? It's not like a Luis Suarez Uruguay World Cup situation, right? Like very, very few handballs are truly intentional. So, but it should form a part, I think.
Yeah. So now the new rules, basically there are 2 criteria. I mean, like before I don't think there's any point getting in. I think we got the gist out of it. But now I think let's clearly just state the 2 criteria that they look at now, and then let's judge it next time when it occurs in a big.
No, all I'll say is that, these rules. First of all, the rules that you have, are they the Champions League rules or the FIFA rules or the EPL rules?
No, these are the Champions League rules.
All right, so that's fine. But here's the thing. Like, here's the thing, right? The rules, right? Like, for example, like what constitutes a foul? Like, or let's make things even more like objective, right? Like, what constitutes a throw-in, right? A throw-in is when the whole of the ball crosses the whole of the line on the sideline, right?
Yeah.
And that's a throw in, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that we all know, because we watch different leagues,
Yeah.
right? That even though the rule is essentially the same in all the leagues, like the degree is different, right? Like for example, when people say, "Oh, you can get a lot away with a lot more fouls in the Premier League compared to the Champions League," right?
Yep.
And if you watch both leagues, it's pretty obvious, right?
Yes. Yep.
So even though the rule is the same, like it's the interpretation and the enforcement which is different.
Yep.
So what I think needs to be done is that there needs to be, and I'm pretty sure they do this every year, because I know they do this every year in the national leagues, in the Serie A and La Liga, in the Premier League, all that. Where every year at the start of the season, the referee association and the clubs have a meeting.
Yeah.
Right? And they say, "All right, guys, this is something that we're going to crack down on this year." But I remember one year it was pushing and shoving in the box during corners.
Yes.
Right, that was Premier League. Right, I said, "Guys, we're gonna clamp down this year. This is now constitutes a foul. This doesn't constitute a foul. This is allowed. This is not allowed." Da 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 da. Like, I think they really need to look at this year. One problem they have from VAR coming out this year is the Champions League. In the Champions League was handball, because I think that the way it's ref this year was pretty
suspect.
I think a lot of people get confused.
Yes. So I think it's tough as well, because like these are the two criterias they judge like a handball by. So like obviously the oldest one in the book, was it deliberate, which comes into the point that you brought forward. Was it intentional? That's the old traditional way that's been around for the longest, right? And now they're adding a new criteria. Was it in their natural or not natural body position? Which is like even tougher, right? So you think about it. That could give even more confusion to the referee, who already has a tough job in implementing VAR for the first season in the Champions League. Let alone
the difference is now the referee. There's more eyes on it. Yeah. Right. Previously, it used to be like just the ref and maybe his assistant, right? If the assistant even saw the incident, because they sit on the sideline, right? It could be far away, blah blah blah, right? But now it's the ref and it's the guys in the VAR in the room, right? Yeah. So if anything, I think it's better to have more criteria. Yeah. Because it's not just one guy making a decision now. It's multiple guys. Like if it's the ability to watch things in slow-mo.
Yeah. No, I think an interesting thing would be, does the guy on the ground have executive? Yes.
The guy on the ground does have the executive decision, though. You're right. He does.
So he could still not take into account the information from the panel.
He could, but it's when it comes to making tough decisions, it's always Yeah, I'm sure the ref on the pitch would be so much more appreciative to have someone say, "Look, this doesn't look like it." Like for example, like you and I, right? You and I right now, we are. But let's say you're the ref. Yeah. Right. I'm telling you, look, honestly, I don't think that's a penalty, and you're saying, "I think it was," right? And I can give you all the reasons I'm giving you now, and you can still make the decision. I still think it was. But do you find it more valuable that I've told you? Right, this is the reason I don't think it is. You can think it is, but here's I don't think it is. And so you're more, how to say,
more informed.
You're more like, certain of your decision.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it remains to be seen whether UEFA new rule will, whether VAR will smooth everything out. Like you said. We have to see what happens next year when it comes to the calls for handballs, and we'll see from there. I think let's move on. Let's move on to the Women's World Cup.
Don't get me wrong. I think VAR is great. It's a net plus.
Yeah, it's a net plus. I think it's a net plus. I think we've all gotten used to the the so-called killing and momentum. I think much quicker, and I think it will get much quicker as well. Like in basketball, it's just so normal because you just so. I watch basketball. I've never watched basketball before there was replays. Before there weren't no replays. So I think
basketball's a stop-start game even without replays anyway. But I think it'll be good, and especially it's being implemented in the Premier League next season for the first time. So I think it'll be very interesting.
Yes, that would be very, very interesting. Oh yeah, to all the listeners, the Premier League fixtures are out as well, just so you know. Very exciting stuff. All right, anyways, back to the Women's World Cup. Yeah. So
I thought there's more Champions League you want to talk about? Oh no.
I think we really like discussed that, the first incident killed the game. Liverpool won the title. Okay, wait, who's your man of the match? I thought Robertson.
Yeah, I was gonna say Robertson.
Robertson, yeah, very, very. Man, you can't. It's nearly impossible to find like a player like that. Like $8 million player, and he turns out to be like a Champions League winning type of left back. It's hard to find players like that. I think.
Traore is also a Champions League winning left back.
Okay, but like, what is he on? Was he on the first team?
Yes.
Okay, then I don't know. I don't even know which Traore that is. I don't even know which Traore that is. But anyway,
so that says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Like, no one really cares about man of the match or whatever. Like, it's not like the NBA MVP or whatever. Like, no one really gives a shit about man of the match. So yeah.
Yeah. True.
Oh, and by the way, Lucas Moura did not start the game. Yeah,
true. But I think he should have, because Harry Kane was piss poor.
There's no player in Spurs which was good though. Their best player in the night was Son, and even then he wasn't that good. Like, I don't think there was one player on Spurs where you thought, oh man, he had a good game.
Stood out. No one stood out. But I thought I thought what was admirable was their confidence with the ball. You might say, but they still lost. They still didn't play that well. But I was like, they still played the ball really well despite Liverpool's pressing.
They didn't play at all. Like, they didn't create any chances at all.
I just think they were in a comfortable the drive gear on the car, but they never turned it up to the highest gear.
But isn't that bad? In the sense
that's bad. Okay.
No, because they were 1-0 down within 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's why. That's why when you saw what they could have done, what they kept the ball so well against Liverpool's press, you thought that they should have been more decisive with that possession that they have. Because Liverpool weren't that they weren't just. But like you said, they the narrative that Tottenham lost it rather than Liverpool won it. That's a I think that's a very accurate statement. I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. They played so badly. It's pretty disappointing. Like,
it's just
for me. I guess you could call. In a way, I was a neutral, and I just wanted to see a good game. I just want to see both teams have fun. But it was just. I thought there would be goals, right? Remember we said I think Tottenham will score.
Yeah. Even though it's like a 2-0, it felt like a 1-0 type of game, right?
Yeah. It's pretty disappointing.
But anyways, I felt a bit sorry for Tottenham a little, because actually, no, thinking about it, you know what? They deserve it. But I thought they should have started Lucas Moura and brought Harry Kane on, because Harry Kane was definitely off the pace. I still have so far never seen a player come back from an injury to a final and show up well. They never tend to show up well, because they're just not fit. They don't have the match rhythm. They're usually off the pace, and Harry Kane showed that. And
I mean you're right, but I think you're right. I think that's the point. But I also think Harry Kane is a solid player. Yeah, but I said, I also have sympathy in the sense that no one else played well. The
fact that match award was given to Alisson shows that no one running on the pitch with the ball did anything of note.
I thought Robertson. I mean, you and I agree. Robertson. I'm surprised Alisson. I was like, why would Alisson get it? He barely made a save.
Apparently they took the save against that Christian Eriksen's free kick. Apparently that was a big save, and that Lucas Moura chance. But I thought those were real half chances.
Yeah, half chances at best. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to the Women's World Cup. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Let's just talk about NBA.
Yeah.
Let's talk about game. Let's just straight away get into Game 5. Let's dig into Game 5. So currently, the Raptors lead the series 3-2, heading into the Oracle tomorrow for Game 6. So let's dig into Game 5. Warriors managed to get through by the skin of their teeth. By the skin of their teeth. They had Durant on for about 12 minutes before he ruptured his whole Achilles tendon. And yeah, now we're here. So I want to leave it to you, Justin, to choose whether we should talk about the result first or we should talk about Kevin Durant's injury.
No one cares about it. I mean, the result is not the story to come out of this game.
It's Kevin Durant?
Yeah, that's the story.
I want to talk about Kevin Durant like next episode, like when we talk about all the off-season stuff, how it changes the landscape of the NBA and so on. Okay, fine. Let's just talk about the injury real quick, and then we give a preview for tomorrow and our predictions for the rest of the series. All right, let's go. So he ruptured his Achilles. Who's to blame for this? Should he have played? Should he have played at all? Justin.
I think it's hard for me to say without.
What's your take? I know without seeing the doctor, having the doctor's recommendation and so on, but based on like a bystander, from what you've heard and what you've read about and what you've seen, you know the news was coming in during Game 4. They tried to get into practice, and there was news coming out from like all these sources saying that nope, it didn't go well at all. And then Game 5, boom, he's here. Game 5, he's there playing.
I mean, I didn't see any news that that his practice didn't go well. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. Like, I didn't see any news of it. I think it's quite. I think, like I said, I don't want to make a judgment because it's one of those things where like you get more information as time goes on.
Yeah.
And right now, a lot of people are very emotional, and a lot of people are, they just want to jump to conclusions, right?
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, it's just a story, right? Like it's a story and then something that's being fed by the media as well, where exactly like you said, it's like, who is to blame? Yeah. Well, what if the answer is there's no one to blame, right? What if that's the answer? And the fact of the matter is that very, very, very few people, aside from the people involved directly, know the whole story and know the whole, because there's obviously a few people that will give input here, right? It's going to be the players themselves. It's going to be the medical staff. It's going to be coaching staff, right? Those are probably going to be the three main parties involved, right? Yeah. And, like Kevin Durant himself hasn't said anything, right? Yep. So I just think I want to hold off on this who is to blame argument until there's more information. Because right now, like, people are just saying shit just based on, it's so irresponsible of the Warriors to allow them to play, blah, 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 blah. In fact, like, I seen one website which had exactly that narrative, right? Yep. Where it was so irresponsible for the Warriors to allow him to play. He was just coming from a calf injury, which, obviously you should he should make sure that he's 100% before it goes. And then in the comment section, someone linked to another story on the same website, where the author wrote, Kevin Durant is soft, and he should come back and play.
Yeah. No.
It's just the media being the media.
Yeah, no, the media controls the narrative of the NBA, and narratives.
They just want the story, right? They just want.
But you understand, narratives are one of the big reasons why people love the NBA, right? If you put
it's one of the main reasons that people like sports in general.
It's what if a good narrative makes this intensifies the competition or makes that sport. Like when you find out, like for example, I'll bring you back to the 2016 series when the 16-17 series when the Cleveland Cavs beat the Warriors. How sick was it when Clay was making fun of like LeBron having his feelings hurt? Then I remember going into Game 5, them being 3-1 down. I was like, fuck man, LeBron's going pissed. And during that game, LeBron fucked them up real good, and I was like, fuck, that made that win like for me as a fan, I was like, oh, that was epic, man. Like even the team just talked shit to him, and he just slapped them up. It just like enhances the product.
I mean, yeah, it's like that's the role of the media in sport, right? It's to and it's not just the NBA, it's any sport.
Boxing,
right?
WWE.
Like it's any sport where like sport in general, what it is, right? It's soap operas for men, right?
Yeah.
That's what someone has told me before many years ago.
No, it is actually.
So, he said like your mom and your sister and all that, they watch their K dramas and all that sort of stuff, and guys watch sports, but essentially at its core, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
it's just about stories. It's just about stories.
Yeah. Oh, that boils down to how humans move information and how they consume information. We love stories. You're right. That's actually really good. That's a bar.
I mean, yes and no, because like some people, I think like me as well, a bit, my thing with this Kevin Durant thing. I don't want to jump on this bandwagon of like, oh, this guy's to blame, or that guy's to blame. Oh, I read this. Oh, I heard this. I heard that. It's like, no, like, why does it always have to be a big conspiracy? Why does it always have to be a big thing? Why can't it just be? Why don't we just chill out and just see what happens? Like,
true.
Why don't we just wait until Kevin Durant says something?
Yeah,
why don't we like? Why must we jump down someone's throat right now?
Yeah, true. And it could very well be like, they went through due process. All the doctors said it was all right. They actually thought it was all right, and it just wasn't, and no one knew. And like you said, it could have been no one's fault. Everyone agreed. Yeah, it could very well be.
Like he could come back. He could have set out the entire series, come back the first game of next season, and done his Achilles.
Yeah, true. But hey, remember we were on the WhatsApp group chat, and you were like, yo, man, they're setting this shit up, man. KD's gonna come back game 5 and win and help the Warriors win in game 7. And actually, to be fair, from that first quarter, that very well might have been the case. He was doing very well, man. He sunk like 3 straight threes,
I mean, yeah, I think when he was playing well. I think it was clear his movement wasn't was 100%, but of course you don't expect it to be.
Very off the ball. Focused.
But yeah, I just think that the way it's being handled by the media. I mean, I know that if you're a person in the media, like this is what your editor's telling you to do. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm just a bit. I'm just a bit like, I understand that's the story, but for me,
I know, but you're turned off. You're a bit turned off by it.
I wouldn't say I'm turned off. I'm just like, I'm not as invested in it as other people might be. I'm just like, it's just. I'm more happy to like, I'm just gonna wait and see what happens and see what people say. Like the more to the story will come out, and now people are just giving their opinions just for the sake of wanting to be heard.
Mm-hmm. I guess all we can do is just like, prayers up for Kevin Durant, and we hope he comes back soon.
Yeah, I will say though that it's like torn Achilles for a basketball player is it's a very bad injury.
Yeah.
Like you tend to lose a lot of your explosiveness off your feet as well. I mean, I saw a thing where, well, obviously the last biggest name to tear his Achilles was DeMarcus Cousins.
Kobe.
So yeah, DeMarcus Cousins, and before that was Kobe. Before that was who was it? I can't remember, but anyway, the narrative behind it was, these players were never the same after their injury.
Mm-hmm.
And
Rudy Gay?
I mean, Rudy Gay came back from Achilles as well. That's true, actually. That's a good point. But the thing is, like, it's hard for me to fully buy into that narrative until I see like who else has the injury, how old were they at the time, So, but I can understand. This is one of those injuries where, like, for example, like in football, right? When you break your leg, right? People say like, oh, this is like a career-changing injury. Like a lot of players are never the same after that. Yeah, this is sort of like the same thing, the basketball equivalent, right? Where you tear your Achilles. A lot of players are never the same after that. And this is for Kevin Durant. Arguably the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So but indications are apparently that teams are still going to offer him the max in free agency. Not free agency, sorry, but they're going to offer him the max come the end of the season if he does decide to move. So this is not stopping. Reportedly, this is not stopping. The intentions of other GMs that might want to pick him up, even though he'll probably be out for a year.
Let's save that for the year, because I think his injuries definitely changed the whole landscape of the NBA. Because he'll be out, I think, indefinitely for the whole season next year.
I mean, he'll be out for the year for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So and that changes a lot of things if you think about it, right? Like and yeah, okay, let's say he's out the game. Do you think Golden State are still the favorite based on what we've seen so far?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, maybe unless you've got like LeBron and Anthony Davis. Yeah, but then they need other pieces around in the team as well, because if that happens, then Lonzo Ball will leave.
A lot of things are going.
Kuzma will leave.
One
of them, but I think the Lakers still be a favorite. The Warriors still be a favorite.
So and we're gonna go through it, man. And next week is gonna be so fun. We're gonna talk about all the free agents, and we're just gonna see what's gonna happen, man. I love off season for sports. It's the best. But anyways, let's focus on the game, the championship at hand. So that we're heading back to the Oracle. Warriors have a chance to even up the series. And they have 4 of the Infinity Stones. They're just missing KD. But do you think they can get the job done, or you think it's a wrap? It's a wrap.
Obviously it's not a wrap because the game hasn't been played yet.
Yeah. No. But what's your take, man? Come on, give me that preview, man. Give me that preview on what you think is gonna happen.
I mean, I think it's been a great series so far. I think that
Love
the
it.
Raptors in particular. I think that a lot of their non-Kawhis has stepped up.
Yeah.
I think that
you want to guess who's their second?
I hesitate to use it as an excuse, but I think the injuries have affected Warriors have had injuries to key players at key times, which has sort of.
We can talk about the Cavs in 2015. We can talk about the Spurs in fucking 2016, 17. We can talk about what else? 1, 2. The Houston Rockets when they lost freaking Chris Paul for Game 7. Come on, man. Klay Thompson brought it up. He's saying that we were very lucky, to face opponents with key injuries, and now it seems like it's all coming back to bite us at once, and that's the case. And
so if you let me finish, I would have said, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but I do think the Warriors had key injuries at key times. But to their credit, I don't think they're using it as an excuse.
They're not.
As no team has done throughout the entire playoffs. So I think that's great.
That's LeBron. At the end, I broke my arm in one.
I think that the way that the Raptors, before the series, you talk about who's a better matchup. For the Warriors, I think after going through 5 games, you can see that who I think has been a key player.
I know who. Big man Marc Gasol.
Kyle Lowry.
Oh yeah,
a key player in the game plan. Now he might not always come through on the stat sheet. Yeah. Although I think he's done pretty well in this final series as a whole. Yeah. But I think it's the way he fits in the game plan, I think is very good. Because the way that the Raptors are playing is that, and this might also be because of the injuries though, is that they're double teaming very quickly on the perimeter. They're double teaming very quickly on the perimeter, and they're allowing passes to move away from the primary ball handler. Now, if there was Klay, Steph, and Durant, right? I'm not sure if that would be the case, because then one of those three guys is going to have an open shot from three. But now with essentially Steph, Clay was missing for a game or two, and like they're allowing those shots to go up, and hoping that
they missed only one game. They missed one game.
Yeah, but they're allowing those shots to go up.
Yeah,
and with the idea that they're not going to hit those shots.
Yeah.
Because there's one less threat, right?
Yeah. No, I think in a layman's way of speaking on how to stop Warriors, not saying you can, but like the layman, like, like everyone knows, not say they know, but like the layman, like everyday person would say, to stop, an everyday NBA fan would say, you have to stop the Splash Bros and KD and hope like the fourth and fifth person misses, right? That's the usual like kind of defense against them. And right now, because KD is out, what the Raptors have been doing is basically trying to shut off the Splash Bros.
And also like I think it's interesting. That's from an offensive end because of the fact that DeMarcus Cousins was out, and he only he's only recent, like what, this is his second or third game. Game 5 was the second or third game, right? Yeah. I think as he continues to get healthier, it becomes more of a problem because when you go immediately to double team, the ball, the primary ball handlers bring the ball up the court, to go to Clay, right? They'll switch over, right? They're very quick at switching over as well.
Yes.
Right, but then what happens then is that you dump into DeMarcus Cousins, who has an easy one-on-one, right? Yeah, down in the post. So I think as he continues to get healthier, I think he will have more and more of influence. I think you can see it already in the numbers, right? The first game back, he wasn't, he did okay. Second game, he was more of an influence. In game 5, he was much more of an influence. I think then coming back to the Lowry thing on the defensive end, I think is what is on the Raptors offensive end, I think is what is very interesting and how key he is, because he's the guy, and this is also the detraction against DeMarcus Cousins being in the starting lineup, is that he just takes DeMarcus Cousins every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Just every single time. He's too quick. It's the classic center against point guard situation, right?
1 against 5.
Where they try to get the screen and they try to get a switch.
Yeah. Right.
So they switch very high, right? Mm-hmm. They force a switch very high, and then they just say loud. Like, this is very clear in game 5. This is the whole game in game 5. They switch high, right, at the 3-point line, and then they say, all right, now Lowry, you've got the switch, just run at Cousins.
Drive through Cousins.
Yeah, the number of times that he just ran at him, and he ran past him, or he stopped, and as the Master Cousins was back pedaling, there was an open floater and stuff like that. It was so many times.
Yes.
And it's because the simple fact that the it's not as agile and not as quick.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyle Lowry is key, and when you see players like Fred VanVleet, knocking the threes down. The question is, what I want you to look at is one or two passes before that. Right. What allowed him to get the space to knock that three down? And usually it is this movement. The high switch, Lowry will attack DeMarcus Cousins, and then all of a sudden, and then move the ball, right? And then you move the ball quickly. If he can't get the shot himself, he'll move the ball.
Yeah, actually, that's what they usually get him, and they either get him or Fred VanVleet to move the ball up, and they usually to do that drive before a kick is usually Kyle. And he did that at the end, right? Like, no, even Kawhi does that sometimes. Kawhi would drive and he would try to kick it out 1 or 2 passes before they sink the three.
The idea, the concept behind that is like super, super, super basic, right?
Yeah.
But it's just that Kyle Lowry in particular is the guy that does it in this case, because he's quick, even though you might not think he's very quick.
He's not only he's quick, like you say, like he's quite sturdy for like a small guy. He's quite strong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that helps. That helps a lot against DeMarcus Cousins, right? So he's quick, he's like, he can take a hit, right?
Yeah,
and still remain in control of the ball. And
dude,
also
he's against Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid struggled to get through.
Yeah. And also, I think he might be the best natural passer of the ball in that team. So
Marc Gasol.
So, yeah, I mean,
known for his
I mean, maybe, but the thing is, like, it's sort of like you can't ask Marc Gasol to do the same job. Like, you know what I mean? Marc Gasol.
He's not gonna drive it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Kyle Lowry actually has been super important in this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's just get straight to it. Who do you think's gonna win, man, tomorrow?
I don't know. I'd like to see the Warriors win because I think this idea of like coming back from 3-1 down, I think it's a great story. Especially since after it happened to them. So I think but again, this is one of those where like,
gonna happen. But who do you think is gonna win? That means who's stronger team is more likely to win.
I don't know. I want to see the Warriors win because I want to see it go to Game 7.
Yeah.
And then after that, Game 7 in Toronto, then we'll see. I think what will be very interesting if the Warriors do win. We'll come back to this theme that I'm going on now. I was like, I think DeMarcus Cousins will be very important.
Definitely. He came on and scored like what? I think 7 point. No, wait, was it 7 point? 7 points in 30 seconds or something. Something crazy like that. And he was supposedly not. They weren't going to put him in until KD got injured and Kayvon.
No, but shit like that, 7 points in 30 seconds. I mean, that's like whatever, right? Like, any player can score, X amount of points, if they have a good run of possessions or whatever.
Yeah.
It's more about the influence, right? Like I said, in the first game he was back, he's still trying to catch up at fitness. It wasn't very influential. Second game's more. The fifth game, I thought he was so much more influential, and that's because of the way that the Raptors are playing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the defensive setup of the Raptors, right?
Yeah.
And so as he becomes more influential, if he manages to become more influential, right, then the Raptors will have to make adjustments to their game plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a question of, can they make those adjustments? Because like I said, right now what they're doing, right, is they're double teaming the ball handler high as quick as possible, and then the ball handler is dishing it out to someone else at the 3-point. And you're right in that case.
Like Marc Gasol on the left side of the key, or it's Kawhi on the right, and then it's usually like Fred VanVleet on one side and Danny Green on the other, or But yeah, continue.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right in the case that people used to say, right, how do we stop it? Right? If it was like Clay, Steph, and Durant, right, all of them can hit a three from the perimeter at a very high rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, how do we do it? But now without Durant, right, it's sort of like, all right, it was like, all right, Clay is really the guy that can hit threes at a clip, right, from the 3-point line. So if they're okay, what we'll do is they dish out Clay. We'll either let him take the shot or we'll rotate defender onto him. Right? Yeah. If they rotate defender onto him, like I said, like if Cousins is there, it's easy, right? Because when you double team a player, it always means someone has a weaker defender than the initial matchup, or they're open or they're free. Yeah. So if Cousins is there in the middle, Clay will just pop it into Cousins, and Cousins can have an easy shot.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the thing is, like, that hasn't happened to its full effect because of, kind of injury, the difference in like the systems once they change, because like Durant is playing the game and then he's out, and then Clay is in and then he's out, and then it comes like the game after. But I think as DeMarcus Cousins gets fitter, right?
Yeah.
Like, he will have more and more influence again, because I think this is the adjustments that will be made, right? And it's a matter of can he get influential enough by Game 6 and Game 7? Can the game plan that Steve Kerr puts together with his coaching staff get him into the game enough? Because I think he'll be the key to them winning this game. Whether it shows in the stat sheet or not, I don't know. I think it will be the key. It's sort of like how I feel like Lowry is the key for the Raptors doing so well, right? Like, it might not always show in the stat sheet, but I feel like he's the key.
Yeah. I think it's definitely going to be down to him. Recently, in the news released today in the pre-match conference for Game 6, they say Kevon Looney is questionable for Game 6. Even though they put him on, every time you see him play, like when he goes close to the glass to defend or attack, he's in a lot of pain. So, like you said, I think they'll be forced to use leverage on the DeMarcus Cousins. And yeah, like you said, it depends on how much of a factor he will be in the game. And like you said, I think he'll definitely be much more fitter and much more in rhythm compared to the previous games. And we'll see how well Raptors fare up to him. And I think when it comes down to my prediction, I want the Raptors to win it in 6 because I want to make the big statement that Raps in 6. But I could really see it going Game 7, but I think Raptors will win the title.
I think a lot of neutrals want to see it go to
Game 7.
Game 7, right? I mean, it's just it's just natural, right? As to want to see that happen.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's about it, right? I think we gave our predictions. We'll see what happens. Actually, let's just make it clear. So you want the Golden State to win tomorrow, but who do you think is going to win?
Like I say, it sort of depends.
Yeah, just throw a prediction, man. Just, come on, man.
I mean, if you want me to say I think Golden State will win tomorrow. I think they're playing at home. I think that they have some time to figure out how to play and the adjustments to make. I think they have confidence after the win in Toronto. Like, let's not forget, like, they were up for a long time during the game, and then
by 11, 12.
The Raptors made a run in the late towards the fourth, and then
it was over when they were 6 points up, right? Surely.
Yeah, and then Steph hits a clutch 3, Clay hits a clutch 3, and then game. But then they made the Warriors made some really mental lapse judgments.
Who was behind both of it? You know who was behind both of it? Your boy Boogie.
I mean, well, there's Draymond Green.
Oh Draymond, the backcourt.
The Boogie one. I mean, what?
That usually never gets called. That usually rarely gets given.
What do you mean?
Moving screen. Like, I mean, usually
the moving. That moving screen. It happens all the time. But I think the bigger issue. Yeah, there were a couple of lapses of judgment, and the thing is, Lowry got a pretty decent look actually towards the end, which was but Draymond managed to get a piece of it to deflect it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that a lot of the fact that the Warriors actually, they were down by 5 or 6, and then they scored. They scored 2 clutch shots from their 2 star players, and won the game. I think a lot of that got lost in the aftermath of the game because of
KD.
Because of the Durant thing.
KD injury, of course. Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, this KD thing, that I think a lot of media are writing about the landscape of the NBA. What if KD is out? What's going to happen? This means big changes in the NBA, and I think we'll talk about this next week.
I mean, I'm not sure if that was the real. I think it was more along lines of people are just out there,
No, KD is a big
baying for blood, man. It's just who is to blame for this? That was the number one thing that I saw. The number one narrative to come out of it. The heroics of Steph and Clay were lost.
But if it was a different player, but if it was a different player, for example, McKinney, and he got injured, you think people would care as much?
I mean, of course not, because Kevin Durant, like I said, is the best player in the NBA, right?
That's what I mean. He's big. He's big time. He's fucking Blockbuster.
I mean, okay,
Sorry, the reason why I'm so hyped
okay, I think we're talking about different things, but all right, sure.
Yeah. All right, shall we end it?
Yep.
All right, man. Thanks, Justin, for coming on. I hope we get a good game tomorrow. And I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks, guys, for listening. Bye.